dealing with hardships and illnesses. And on this eve of the 23rd anniversary of 9/11, we should all remember how this tragic terrorist event affected us. So we ask you to please keep our first responders safe, whether they be serving within our cities or in our military or some other manner in our country. We ask all of these things in your holy name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start the agenda with voice roll call. We'll start with Mr. Jimian.
Here. Present.
Ms. Allen.
Here.
Mr. Schatzel's here. Mr. Donahue.
Here.
And Mr. Stalker's
Here.
And let the record reflect that Mayor Hinkle was not here. He's out of town. Thank you. Going on with the meeting agenda. So we have the regular council meetings of August 13th, a special council meeting of August 27th, a special council meeting of August 29th, a special council meeting of September 5th. There were no planning commissions and there were no local planning agency meetings held.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any comments from the council? Anyone in the audience? Okay. We'll go for the vote then. Mr. Najimian.
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel, yes. Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Dykes to continue with the agenda.
Well, sir, at this time, sir, are you going to make this presentation?
The presentation is going to be made by Ms. Leslie Weir.
I'm sorry. Leslie Geyer from the Northwest Florida. She's the district director from the Northwest Florida International Institute of Municipal Clerks.
Sorry, I think we're together.
Good evening, City Council. How are you? My name is Leslie Geyer, and I am privileged to serve as the Northwest District Director for the Florida Association of City Clerks. And I am here tonight to recognize one of our own, Ms. Wendy Farmer, for achieving her Master Municipal Clerk designation through the International Institute of Municipal Clerks and the Florida Association of City Clerks. Wendy obtained her Certified Municipal Clerk designation in April of 22. On August the 19th, she achieved the prestigious Master Municipal Clerk designation, a significant milestone in her career and an indication of her commitment to the professional clerk. Earning the MMC designation is no small feat. Wendy completed 168 hours of advanced education, with 80% focused on public administration and 20% on elected areas. To put this into perspective, only 10% of the 15,000 members of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks worldwide have earned a Master Municipal Clerk designation. In Florida, just 29.7% of the 542 FACC members have earned this designation. Wendy's achievement places her in an elite group of local government professionals. In today's changing world, lifelong learning is essential for addressing the evolving needs of citizens. The City of Niceville can take great pride in Wendy's accomplishments. Her commitment to her profession and the betterment of local government sets a powerful example for others. Wendy, on behalf of the FACC, President Patty Burke, the Board of Directors, and the members in your district, we are incredibly proud of you. And I have your pin that I want to give you, and I told you I would not pin it on you because that would be a fiasco. But we are proud of you, and we want you to display your plaque and wear your pin as a symbol of your dedication to your professionalism. Please join me in congratulating Miss Wendy Farmer on her outstanding accomplishment of one of our newest Master Municipal clerks.
I have two of the clerks from Crestview came, so if you can
Thank you.
include them.
Thank you.
I'd like to,
I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to do this, for putting this in the budget, and looking at continuing education the way you guys do. And I also wanted to thank Dan for supporting me in doing this, and most of all my family, especially my husband, who is always having to stay home and tend to the house while I'm gone. So thank you very much.
I'd like to add one thing. I got my MMC back in 2004, so it took me 8 years to do it. She did it for me.
Congratulations, Wendy, we're all proud of you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Dykes?
Okay, sir. On to you for the proclamation, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Week.
Hello, City of Niceville. I'm Toby Williams. I thank God that I can stand here tonight as a 9-year breast cancer survivor. And I would like to thank the City of Niceville for the proclamation of the week of Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, and invite you to join the fight by supporting us on October the 12th. 8 o'clock in the morning registration out at Northwest Florida State College. You can come and walk the track with us as we celebrate life or go into save lives to where no one has to hear cancer. And that is our mission, to one day, we pray, to see a world without cancer. So come join the fight and support us.
Thank you, Toby. Let me stand on this side so I can have the microphone. I think that'll work. Okay, so I've known Toby for probably 4 or 5 years through other organization, and she has always come on very positive, especially in the breast cancer type of situation that she has faced. So I have in front of me a proclamation from the City of Niceville. It is already signed by Mayor Dan Hinkle, and I'm going to read it. It's a little bit long, so please bear with me as I read it. So it says, whereas breast cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed among women in the United States and is the second leading cause of death from cancer among women. And whereas in 2023, the U.S. had an estimated 297,790 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed among women. 43,170 women deaths because of this disease, and more than 4 million women had a history of invasive breast cancer or were living with the disease. And whereas in 2023, the United States had approximately 2,790 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed among men, and 530 male deaths due to this disease. And whereas the American Cancer Society invested more than $78 million in breast cancer-specific research, responded to approximately 300,000 helpline calls and online chats, and provided more than 323,000 rides to treatment, and helped nearly 3,000 people with breast cancer via one-on-one support through Reach to Recovery. And whereas the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer program, which Toby just talked about, is a 3 to 5 mile non-competitive walk that has collectively grown into the largest network of breast cancer awareness event in the nation, uniting communities with a shared determination in the fight to end breast cancer. And whereas the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer program is unifying our communities and raising money to help the American Cancer Society fund breakthrough breast cancer research, provide free information and support, and help reduce breast cancer risk to allow early detection so that it may be more treatable. And whereas the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer on the Emerald Coast envisions a future where our children no longer live with the threat of breast cancer and where everyone has a fair and just opportunity to prevent, to find, to treat, and survive this disease. And whereas by supporting the Make Strides Against the Breast Cancer on the Emerald Coast movement, you help ensure that the American Cancer Society can continue fighting for the same vision. I now, on behalf of Mayor Dan Hinkle and the City of Niceville City Council, do hereby proclaim and recognize the week of October 6th to the 12th as Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Week. And that concludes the reading, and I certainly hope that we as a community, you as individuals, can come out and support the Making Strides Society in their walk for breast cancer in October. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dykes, continuing with the agenda, please.
All right, good evening, council. We'll move on to ordinance 24-01, 10-01, and on first reading, an ordinance for the city of Niceville, Florida, relating to the concurrency management system, providing for amendments to Chapter 6 of the comprehensive plan, deleting transportation concurrency, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, complications, and effective date.
I will move approval.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by the council?
I do have a question. I thought we were supposed to start with 3. I don't know, maybe I misunderstood. 24-1003, was that one supposed to be approved first?
That's correct. That is the property rights element that we're several years behind in adopting, and we technically cannot transmit any amendments unless that was approved. The property rights has to be transmitted first.
Okay. Okay, in that case, Mr. Dykes will...
Let me try that again, council. Ordinance 24-10-03, an ordinance of the city of Niceville, Florida, relating to the property rights element, providing for amendments of the comprehensive plan to create a new property rights element consistent with section 163.31776I Florida statutes, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, complications, and an effective date. This is the first reading.
So moved, or, sorry.
So Mr. Stauffer moved, first motion,
Second.
second by Mr. Donahue. Any discussion by the council?
I think it'd be worth, David, for you explaining for the audience's benefit. There's about 6 or 7 ordinances that are all somewhat related. They're going to follow. What is it we're doing? from a big picture so we don't get questions on every single one.
You want to take that?
Kristen?
Yes, sir.
Can you
So,
fix your microphone as well?
And I know that we're going to be brief. So ordinance, the first one that you're considering there, the property rights element, this actually is a statutory requirement. The legislature mandated that all local governments adopt the property rights element back in 2021. We have to adopt this as of now because we can't transmit any subsequent amendments to our comprehensive plan, which you have in other ordinances.
The balance of the ordinance are going to be doing
Right,
that.
and it's just a mandate, that's one of those things that we have to do, and it recognizes that, we should consider property rights in our comprehensive planning and land development decision-making.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by the council? Anyone in the audience who would like to address this issue?
Doug Tiller, 709 Mill Creek Run. Just for clarification, this is first reading. I thought you guys covered this in August. Why are we readdressing?
The planning commission acted on these in August. The
They came before you also up here.
Yeah, right, the city council has not seen these amendments yet. So this is your first reading, and basically what we're doing is requesting to transmit this amendment to the state and federal agencies for review, and we're not sure, they have 30 days to review, and once we get those back, then we can bring them back to you for adoption. Probably be in November.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone in the audience? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Stofford?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Najimian?
Yes.
All right, council, going back up to ordinance 24-10-01, an ordinance of the city of Niceville, Florida relating to the concurrency management system, providing for amendments to chapter 6 of the comprehensive plan, deleting transportation concurrency, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, complications, and an effective date. Again, this is the first reading of this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the council? Hearing and seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this ordinance?
Now, first and fifth.
Council, back in 2018, the Florida legislature removed the transportation concurrency requirement for comprehensive plans. The city of Niceville maintained the transportation concurrency requirement along with what's called proportionate fair share mitigation, which was also a mandate that if you kept traffic concurrency, you had to implement a system called proportionate fair share. And what that essentially means is that the city would be responsible for identifying a set of capital projects, and as developers came on, they would be required to pay a proportionate fair share of those identified projects. It's a very cumbersome, complicated system. Most local governments have gone away with it many years ago. It's just a very, very difficult system to maintain. And what I want to say for the citizens and for the council also is this does not mean that we will not do transportation planning and plan for road improvements as, the community develops. We still have to maintain our level of service standard adopted for each of these roads. And if you'll recall, several months ago, I brought forward to you several amendments, and Councilman Schatzel worked through the transportation planning organization process to get numerous road improvement projects added to that list. So, and the reason why we did that is to maintain those level of service standards. So it doesn't mean that we're not looking at road impacts and making road improvements, but what it does mean is that we're not going to be doing proportionate fair share program, which would be, also something we have to do with landing, quite frankly. So we need to remove these sort of barriers that we're not really doing, that are hanging out in our comp plan.
So any of the fill in the blank that's in here, we're gonna vote on it, but then how does that work? I mean, you just fill it in because it will be the second reading maybe?
Yeah, so I don't know how the state review will go, and I don't know exactly when we'll get that package back from the state and federal agencies for adoption. I anticipate it will go swimmingly and we'll have no issue, and it'll probably happen in November. But I hate to put a date in a document that, sets the public up for a certain expectation of a date when we don't know what that's gonna be.
So when we make the motion, do we make the motion with the concept that those items, we're approving something that's not finished?
You're just approving a first reading of the ordinance text
Right.
and transmittal of these comprehensive plan amendments to the state and federal agencies for review.
And we won't do the second reading or approval until we actually have the blanks filled in?
That's right, when you get it back, you'll have a full document with all the dates.
I'm good.
Thank you for the explanation. Anyone in the audience have any comments on this ordinance? Any further discussion from the council? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'd like to have a vote. We start with Mr. Nujimian.
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Chatzels, yes. Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stouffer?
Yes.
All right, council, moving on, ordinance 24-10-02, an ordinance of the city of Niceville, Florida relating to community redevelopment area lands, providing for amendments to the comprehensive plan future land use element, establishing an overlay to the future land use map, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, codifications, and an effective date. Again, this is a first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion by the council? Any discussion from the audience? Ms. Christian, would you like to elaborate on this, please?
The CRA plan documents identified that we would establish special planning areas essentially for the Old Town Landing area. And that was great, and that was all done at the Land Development Code level. And so what we're seeking here to do is bring those full entitlements to the comprehensive plan level, because that is our governing document. That document sort of supersedes the Land Development Code in terms of providing entitlements. And we want to clear those entitlements and give the full mixed-use entitlements to the areas designated mixed-use within the CRA.
Any further discussion?
I just want to say, quite impressive going through them all, because I'm like, how do you know? And you're educated in it.
25 years.
How many, 25 years? Yeah. I'm just impressed at the changes that we're making that probably should have been made a long time ago. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the city to successfully issue the RFP for the CRA that we talked about earlier, we need to be on a good footing with the entitlements for that area. Absolutely.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's call for the vote. Mr. Stouffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Chatzels, yes. Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Nojimian?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 24-10-04, an ordinance of the city of Niceville, Florida, amending Part 2, the Code of Ordinance of Niceville, Appendix D, Article 7, pertaining to the community redevelopment area overlay, deleting some requirements, establishing review processes, and providing for clarification, amending Article 8 pertaining to driveway connections, adding certain requirements, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, codifications, and an effective date. And council, this again is the first reading of this ordinance.
So move.
I'll second the second motion. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Any discussion by anyone or questions or from the audience? Kristen, would you please step forward again and explain this one?
Mr. Chairman, and, I'm sorry, you're not the county commission. These amendments are the companion amendments to the comprehensive plan amendments. So these were moving into the land development code here. And I do want to point out something about this ordinance 24-10-04. There was a special overlay created within the land development code that pertained only to CRA lands. It was actually more regulatory than what pertain to other lands, which is good in a way and bad in a way. We want that sort of extra design consideration because the idea is to increase values in the CRA and to have some development standards that, reflect an enhanced redevelopment pattern. However, some of the requirements were regulatory beyond sort of what applied to the rest of the city. And the one in particular that I moved is a driveway connection for single-family residential. There was a 20-foot driveway connection requirement, meaning that you can't come in on a public right-of-way and sort of pave the entire frontage of your residential property for parking. And we're talking about single-family homes, and so that was applicable only in the CRA, but not the rest of the city. And that standard I relocated to the city because that makes sense for maintenance of our right-of-way and stormwater systems and utility systems. But the other things I just kind of clarified and left there that were pertaining to that CRA overlay.
Thank you. And again, this one was very intensive, as Councilman Stauffer said for the last one when we reviewed it. And we appreciate the effort that you put into bringing it up to speed. So, no further comments from the council?
Maybe one, just that you can point out that that is the CRA for the people that,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, so that's the Old Town Landing project for the audience. We had a meeting on that today. The CRA board, the council has made amazing progress with that project, and I look forward to some, it being a great thing for the city of Niceville.
Thank you. Okay, calling for the vote, Mr. Najimian,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes, Mr. Donohue, and Mr. Stauffer.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 24-10-05, an ordinance of the City of Niceville, Florida, amending Part 2, the Code of Ordinances of Niceville, Florida, Appendix D, Article 6, as such pertains to the concurrency management system, deleting provisions relating to the proportionate fair share mitigation system, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, codifications, and an effective date. And again, ordinance is on first reading.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Hearing and seeing none. Any discussion from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. Kristen, please come forward again.
Okay, just briefly, this is the companion amendment to the comp plan amendment that we discussed previously, removing crop fair share. I want to point out something about these land development code amendments is that I will not bring these back until you adopt the comp plan amendments, so don't expect them to come back next month. They'll travel with those comp plan amendments in November.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the council? Okay, calling for the vote, Mr. Stauffer.
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Donohue.
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Ms. Alley,
Yes.
and Mr. Najimian.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 24-09-01, an ordinance of the City of Niceville, Florida, amending Part 2, the Code of Ordinances of Niceville, Florida, Appendix D, Article 7, as such pertains to home-based occupations, providing for home-based business regulations consistent with general law, and providing for enforcement, severability, conflicts, codifications, and an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Okay, Ms. Alley seconds. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council?
And this is a second reading, final reading.
It is a final reading, sir. Yes, sir. And again, council, this is just to get our home-based business ordinance in line with the statute where it was not before.
Anyone in the audience like to address this ordinance? Kristen, anything to say on this one? Okay. It's a second and final reading?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we discussed this last time.
So I'll call for the vote, Mr. Stauffer.
Yes.
Mr. Donohue?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Najimian.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 24-09-03, Mike Parrish, 337 Bayshore Drive, requests his property be rezoned from C2 General Commercial to R1B Single Family Residential, parcel ID number 07-1S-22-2520-0018-003A. This is on final reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion by the council? Hearing and seeing none, is there anyone in the audience like to address this ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, come back to the council. Any further discussion? Then let's call for the vote. Mr. Jimmy?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stouffer?
Yes.
All right, finally, resolution 24-08-03, David and Angela Deitch, 139 Black Earth Court, that should be circle, request a variance to Land Development Code, section 07.08.08B1 to allow a 5-foot setback from the house as opposed to the required 6 feet, parcel ID number 05-1-22-4550-0000-0350.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we need to amend the address?
It is, no, it's actually circle. On the resolution, it's circle.
It's right
That's
over there.
correct.
Any further discussion from the council? We have a motion and a second. Anyone in the audience like to address this resolution? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Stouffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Ms. Alley?
Yes.
And Mr. Jimmy?
Yes.
Moving down to the manager's reports and requests and recommendations.
All right, council, good evening. I want to highlight a few things for you, and then I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. Tomorrow's the Chamber Breakfast. Eglin Federal Credit Union will be honoring our first responders, as tomorrow is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. So if you're available and want to come out and have some good breakfast and honor our first responders, I encourage you to do so. September 16th, we're having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Born Learning Trail out at Rocky Runway Park. That was a collaboration between the Early Learning Coalition, the United Way, and the City of Niceville. Two events, council on September 19th is the Senior Center Cookout at 11 a.m. So if you're 55 and better, you're welcome. Those of us who are still in our 40s are not.
That was unnecessary. Speaking on behalf of all of those 55 or better.
I'm sorry, when did you say that was?
It's on September 19th, starting at 11 a.m.
It doesn't apply to you, Kathy, not old.
Council, I will remind you also that on September 19th is our final fiscal year 2025 budget meeting at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers. October 16th is the Meigs Park groundbreaking ceremony at 10 a.m. over at Meigs Park. I have invited Senator Trumbull, Rep. Maney, all the county commissioners, and of course yourselves, and all have responded in the affirmative. So we are having that groundbreaking ceremony out at Meigs Park on October 16th. But I will note, construction will not begin shortly thereafter because the design and engineering is not yet done. November 9th for the Community Veterans Day Parade. If you want to come out and be a part of the parade, please go to our website, our social media pages, and get signed up, your organizations and whatever else, and participate in a Veterans Day Parade to honor all the veterans in our community. Over on the table over here, I've got information about the Veterans Day Parade, the Meigs Park groundbreaking ceremony, and also the strategic plan. So the City of Niceville is to the point in our strategic planning process where we're seeking input from the community. So there are cards, little cards on this table over here. If and only if you are a Niceville resident, and I don't mean have a Niceville address, but a Niceville resident, please, please, please fill out the survey. Because your input will inform the strategic plan, which will, of course, the strategic plan is our roadmap into the future. And so if you want to have input into what Niceville looks like going into the future, please, please, please fill out the survey. Again, there's cards over here with QR codes, and please, 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 we're seeking your input. Now I'm going to get on my soapbox, because I'm both frustrated and angry. On our social media pages, and this has been highlighted a number of times, I respectfully request that our community stop flushing items that do not properly break up, such as flushable wipes, diapers, feminine hygiene products, because it can cause costly breaks and backups, and even contribute to sewage spilling into our beautiful waterways. The only thing that should be flushed are toilet paper and human waste. Many products today are marked for consumers as flushable, but they're not. They don't break up like toilet paper, and they should not be put down the toilet or down any drains. Not only does this cost us tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair every single year, where that money could be used for parks like that for our community. On Monday, one of my public works teammates was poked by a drug needle as they were cleaning out a sewer, a portion of our sewer system, taking out these wipes and diapers and feminine hygiene products. It was wrapped up in that gunk, and he was poked in the hand by a drug needle. And so, I'm pissed off at whoever put the damn drug needles in the sewer system in the first place. Because now, while he is okay and he's back to work, he's going to be getting tested, medically tested for months and months and months for HIV and hepatitis and everything else, because somebody put drug needles in the toilet. And this happens all the time. So I'm begging you, please, stop putting those flushable wipes and diapers and everything else, because that needle was concealed in that material. So not only does it clog up our systems and wreck our sewer system that we all have to pay for as residents, it hides dangerous material that now a man with a wife and kids is now dealing with potential life-threatening illnesses in the future. So I beg the residents of this community to please stop putting stuff into toilets and drains that is not human waste or toilet paper. All right, I'm done on my soapbox. And I will invite our new police chief to his first city council meeting for his presentation.
Good evening, council. Mark Hayes, your new chief. Glad to be here. Excited for the future and my vision for moving the police department forward. I want to make a collaborative effort with the community and the leaders to push an agenda to be more proactive in community policing and just get back to old school community help and revival. And that's my soapbox. So I'm going to give you a report for August of 2024. During the month of August, the Niceville Police Department responded to 2,305 calls for police assistance. Here are the breakdown and the key statistics. Traffic incidents, 62 traffic crash reports were written. There were 120 vehicles and 1 pedestrian involved. Estimated total of damage to the vehicle and property amounted to almost $487,000. Traffic enforcement, our officers issued 187 traffic citations. In addition, 210 traffic warnings were given. The officers made 12 misdemeanor arrests and 12 felony arrests. Would you like me to break that down as to which ones? They say you might ask. We have a little bit of a problem at Juniper and Highway 20. That's where the pedestrian crash occurred. We are making proactive efforts towards increased enforcement, traffic signs, speed signs, that type of thing, making an effort to try to alleviate that. That's all I have.
Chief, I want to say for myself and on behalf of Mayor Hinkle, welcome to Niceville as our police chief, and we look forward to your leadership in the years to come.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Just ditto, I should have waited anyway, but welcome, yeah.
Everybody's been really warm and inviting, and it's been a great first week. I've got my first week down, and I'm midway through the second. If I can survive the breakfast in the morning and coffee with a cup Thursday, I'll be okay.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, no, I am, always. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks.
All right, Chief Matt, please.
Deitch, everybody else. During August 2024, the Niceville Fire Department ran 203 calls. There were 2 overdose calls. 18 fire inspections were conducted this month, 11 passes, 7 fails, 8 re-inspections. BSC Fire made repairs to our station fire sprinkler system. Rad Bowls, BB&J, and Healing Ways are open for business. And we just got done with the inspection on the enclave of Building 9. Lieutenant and engineer testing was held. 2 firefighters, Ryan Winburn and Zach Wolfram, were promoted to engineer. Clint Ratchford and Travis Gall were promoted to lieutenants. A ceremony for them and the recently promoted battalion chiefs, Chris Rosano and Jack Chandler, were also held. New hire testing was held. We had 2 applicants who performed very well. Firefighter David Rodriguez is currently going through the hiring process. He'll fill our last open spot. Chief officers attended strategic planning meetings with the Institute for Senior Professionals this last week, 2 weeks ago. Crew members attended the Niceville High School varsity games recently. Crew members attended the 9/11 Stair Climb Challenge held at the Niceville High School. The crew will raise the flag at the corner of Park and Palm tomorrow, weather pending. And then several crew members are currently attending a drone training course put on by the Niceville Police Department, and all crew members are actively working on certificates in continuing education.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I participated in Saturday,
Yes, ma'am.
the event. I was gonna do 1 lap, then I went to 3, then I went to 5. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna stop. Somebody said, oh, come on, you've already done 5. So I got around to 6 and they asked me to carry the flag. So then I finished 7. I thought, okay, I've done 7, I might as well do 2 more. I could barely get out of bed on Sunday. Those stairs were a lot. So, I don't know how those firefighters that day went up all those stairs and those towers, carrying all the equipment that you guys have to carry. And it was very moving. Dan, announcing, each milestone of when the plane hit the Tower 1, Tower 2, the tower coming down, going into the Pentagon. It was a very moving ceremony, and I'd like to see more people participate next year. And I think I was probably the oldest person out there, but I finished it.
I have a question for you. If you said it, I missed it. Were there any overdoses?
Yes, sir. We had 2 overdoses this last month.
And did they survive with administration?
Yes, sir.
Narcan?
They've all survived with Narcan, yes, sir.
Are these overdoses that we seem to have every month repeat individuals, or are they new individuals?
I couldn't answer this time, for the ones recently and stuff like that, but we of course we have frequent flyers and stuff, but, it varies.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the council? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jonathan, please.
Good evening, council, Mr. Deitch. Water and sewer. The water and sewer upgrade of lift station 18 is complete. We did the tie-ins in-house, and some of the sewer guys, Ernie, JW, calling are here tonight. I thank them, they saved the city $80,000 on doing this project in-house, buying eight people short. They got together and did this thing and saved us $80,000. They did one hell of a job, and I really appreciate that. The water line upgrade on Seville Circle. The water line on Seville Circle is complete. All of the service is being tied in. The relocation of the water line on Johnson's Parkway is complete. We're working with Goforth Williamson on installing a bypass pump at lift station 7 on Bayshore Drive. We had 66 water calls, 27 sewer calls, made 11 water taps, 9 sewer taps, 556 line spots, changed out 22 meters, and completed 439 service orders. We have a drainage issue at Evans, which is Turkey Creek Park to fix. The holding pond at Gracie Lane is complete. The drainage project on Thomas Street, where we partner with Okaloosa County, is complete. We have the drainage issue on Emmett Drive and Bayshore Place neighborhood is complete. We have head walls to repair on Jones Avenue at the drainage crossing. We have paved numerous roads in the city and just finished Valparaiso Boulevard. And then moving, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting Cedar Avenue from Highway 285 to College Boulevard. The engineering of the Hart Street and Hill Lane are both 100% design complete. We will construct Hill Lane in 2025 and then turn around in 2026 and construct Hart Street. We're working with Paul Engineering on a multi-use path on Pond Boulevard. The new impound yard for the police department is complete. The library landscaping project, we're all waiting on its flowers. We finished irrigation today, so that's pretty much on its way to being complete. The repair and maintenance department just finished pole barns around the city. Most recently, the fire department's had extensions of the ones we had behind the community center. This is to keep all our new equipment and new trucks out of the weather and under these pole barns to keep wear and tear off of them. They have started on a new mini storage up here at the skate park. This mini storage will allow us to save a lot of money that we're currently paying on mini storages around the city for Christmas decorations and other things. On behalf of Public Works, I'd like to welcome Chief Hayes to our team. I'd like to give a special thanks to the National High School football team once again for their serve day and the community service work they did for us back in July. They did a good job. Code compliance, they've off and running. 105 cases, 60 of them closed already since July. Anywhere from excessive growth, parking, trash, trees, you name it. So they're doing a good job on getting and out of boy there. Bobby Jenkins, can you come up here, Mr. Deitch? So, for whatever reason, I couldn't publicly announce this until after the Florida Stormwater Association give this award out. But my shining penny this month is going to be Samantha Hanson, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but I'm just now getting around to do this because of their stupid rule they had. But Bobby was a big part of this. I want to thank Mr. Dykes for allowing us to start this program. But the city of Niceville got #1 in the state on public outreach and education for our Adopt a Drain program. We also got the President's Award for the #1 stormwater program in the state. That's a pretty big accomplishment. I just want to tell Samantha, I know she's watching, thank you, great job. Bobby, thank job. And Mr. Dykes, thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Linden, I've gotten a lot of comments on that. We don't have a roller coaster anymore, and it really has made a difference on the safety there too. So thank you, that right off Valpy. And then I want to ask you about the county and the rest of Valpy and the sidewalk. Any progress on that?
We are, I know me and Kristen are going to be talking with Scott Bitterman, circling back around in the county on that project, see where we're at. There was some conflicts in who was doing what, but we're going to set up another meeting with our new team and revisit that.
Yeah, I'm just still real concerned. I mean, I've seen some stuff on the no sidewalks. I've seen kids get off the bus and have to duck out of the way of the truck, mirror. It's pretty serious, so I hope the county will take it pretty serious.
It brought back up 2 weeks ago, but we're going to circle back around and then
All right.
have another discussion.
Thanks.
Thank you, John. Your men and women are very, very busy. We appreciate how nice the city looks, how we keep everything operating.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
All right, Kristen?
Just included this letter for your information, and as we've mentioned previously, the city is up against our annual or 7-year evaluation and appraisal report of the comprehensive plan, and we will be needing to notify the state agency by October 1 that we do intend to update the comprehensive plan to because we have a lot of statutory issues. So we'll be transmitting that letter and beginning that process.
Sir, back to you and Councilwoman Allen.
Did you want me to talk about this again?
We've got the Meg's Park update on there, if you wanted to mention that.
Well, our city manager already talked about this, about the ribbon cutting for Meg's Park. I'm just very excited that this is going to happen, and with the county and with Mel Ponder, who went to the state and asked for appropriation to fund this special needs park. We got $1.2 million, and then the city got the rest of it to do this park, and hopefully next year we'll break ground. But please come out in October 16th at 10 a.m. What the city's already done at Meg's Park is amazing. I know that all the homeowners around there are so excited about what's happening to that park and what's going to be coming. So it's going to be really incredible. So I'm grateful that it's coming and will be here. So please come out and support it.
Following the agenda, Meg's Park, and then Councilman Stauffer, do you have anything to add, or you want to defer that?
No, I don't want to defer it. I know there's been a lot of talk probably about it, but a resolution that I wrote based on what the county has done, it's passed in 9 counties. Sarasota did today. We're not the first city to, if we passed it, we would be the first city. I know it's controversial. I think it's unprecedented because of the subject area that we're talking about. I know it has to do with abortion, which is, problematic for a lot. But I think if there's any elective surgery that were done on a juvenile that is life-changing without the permission of the parents, I do believe that it affects every resident, including Niceville residents. And then if you look at the, and I want to read the resolution here in a minute, but when you look at the financial impact statement that will be included, the Supreme Court approved it. It says this amendment may negatively affect the growth of local revenues. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The fiscal impact on state and local revenues, costs cannot be estimated with precision. The total impact of the proposed amendment is indeterminate. Therefore, it makes it a local issue because it deals with local dollars. This is not just about abortion. If it was about nursing homes, daycares, that was going to cost us money as a city, it was going to affect every resident in Florida, and it was anti-family because it takes away parental consent, I think we would deal with it. I think the problem is it's abortion, and therefore it's sort of untouchable in a local setting. I don't think that's the way it should be. But let me just read the resolution. I'm proposing it as something to discuss. And, if it doesn't get a second, it dies. But I feel compelled as a city councilman to say this is unprecedented. Therefore, and even the governor's doing unprecedented things. Even the attorney general, which I've been on the phone with those groups. This is something that will affect Florida for generations, is what they say. So a resolution of the city of Niceville, Florida, opposing pro-abortion Amendment 4 to the Florida State Constitution. Whereas a network of pro-abortion organizations, including Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, have spent millions to gather the required number of petition signatures to place a pro-abortion constitutional amendment on the November 2024 ballot in Florida, titled Amendment 4, Amendment to Limit Government Interference with Abortion. And whereas on April 1st, Florida Supreme Court approved the language permitting the abortion amendment to be placed on the 2024 ballot to be voted on by Florida voters, and whereas the wording of the Amendment 4 is intentionally deceptive, as it is crafted to make voters believe it allows regulation of abortion after viability, but it includes a broad health loophole that would permit abortion to the moment of birth if the healthcare provider, who can be the abortion clinic nurse, claims it is necessary to protect the patient's health, a phrase which courts have interpreted to justify abortion for virtually any reason which could include morning sickness, anxiety, or even financial stress. And whereas Amendment 4, if passed by the voters, will enshrine abortion on demand in the Florida State Constitution, bypassing the legislative process, thereby removing the constitutionally delegated power of the legislature in their duty to prescribe laws protecting the preborn. It will also prevent the executive branch of our state government from carrying out such laws to safeguard the lives of preborn persons, and whereas the proposed amendment would overturn current laws that require parental informed consent before a minor's abortion, making abortion the only medical procedure that can be performed on a minor without parental permission in the state of Florida. The amendment also removes other essential health and safety requirements for clinics that perform abortions and eliminates laws limiting public funding of abortions. Florida's Heartbeat Protection Act, along with the 24-hour waiting period, sonogram requirements, will be deemed unconstitutional. And whereas, as indicated in the financial impact statement that will appear on the ballot, Amendment 4, if approved, will significantly increase state litigation costs as groups sue to repeal any Florida laws regulating abortion and force state taxpayers to subsidize abortions through Medicaid. And whereas many cities and county commissions, including those in Okaloosa, Gilchrist, Collier, and it doesn't say this, but now there's up to 9, have passed resolutions condemning Amendment 4, with more commissions and cities expected to follow. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Niceville, Florida, Section 1, that the City of Niceville strongly condemns this misleading, extreme pro-abortion amendment, encourages all Florida voters to vote no on Amendment 4. Section 2, the resolution shall become effective upon the adoption and approval in accordance with the city charter, and then adopted and so on and such date. But what I'm asking is that we discuss this. I know it is unprecedented. I know I've studied it. I have 50 hours in it. Michigan passed it in 2022, and if you study what's going on in Michigan, they said that they are now overturning every law, including laws where it's government-funded abortion. I talked to Carolyn Ketchel today, and she presented me with the one that was passed by the county commission there in Okaloosa. She said she believes that it will be infanticide, meaning actually after the birth of the child. It will extend out into that. I don't see it myself yet, but it could be there. I trust her. I have talked to city council member today in another city locally. She's going to propose it locally. I talked to the mayor of that city, and he is going to back it also. So it's not just us. I'm saying, in my thinking, let's lead the way for the other cities around here to show the example of in unprecedented times, doing something unprecedented. And I know it's controversial.
Okay, I'd like to, any discussion by the council? I'd like to thank you for bringing this to our attention. For the ladies and gentlemen in the audience, we are less than 2 months away from voting. There's supposed to be a debate going on tonight, so we may get home in time to see some of it. But please, 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 as Councilman Stauffer has said, these amendments that have been pushed forward to our state constitution, please study up on them and really, really read them and understand them before you vote. That's what I have to say. Thank you. Okay. Hearing and seeing no other discussion by the council, let's move on with our agenda.
All right, Steve, did you want to talk about the opioid plan? It's on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The opioids, as you may know, are very important to me, but it's not about me. It's important because I lost my wife to the use of opioids that were prescribed to her. But the opioid plan is a plan written, I prepared, and Mr. Deitch reviewed and made changes to, and you should have it in front of you. I hope you've had time to review it. There's a Schedule B after it, which lists what the money can be used for. There was a settlement between the state of Florida and some of the pharmaceutical companies, and I'm sure Dixie is the expert on the details of that settlement, but it resulted in an award of some money to virtually every Florida municipality and county that participated. And the city got, over the last 2 years, somewhere between like $10,000 and $15,000. That we haven't spent that yet, but it's in the budget for fiscal year '25. We're going to be getting money, probably more than that, over the next few years, the next 5 to 10 years. And so if you have any questions, I'm pretty familiar with it. I may be able to answer them, or Mr. Deitch or Dixie may be able to answer.
The settlement requires the municipalities and the counties to develop a plan on how they're going to use the money. And the funds were distributed based on the size of the cities and the population of the cities throughout the state of Florida. So it's a good thing. It wasn't as much money as we had originally expected, but it's going to come in from all the different defendants. A couple of defendants have not settled yet, and we dismissed one of the defendants. One has filed bankruptcy. So there's still money on the table that's going to be coming in, hopefully for the next few years.
Are there any questions for me from the council?
Okay. Stephen, thank you for working on this, and I am sorry to hear about the loss of your first wife. I would like to ask you, can you give some examples of what this money might be applied towards? Education or rehabilitation, or what other examples might you have?
Yes, sir. I read through Schedule B, and that has the limitations, but it can be used for education about opioid prevention, abuse prevention, and for treatment of people who are addicted, and for programs that help people who are addicted to get away from their addiction or to become unaddicted, and for all the ways that we can help the community by reducing the impact of opioid abuse, such as the treatment. Some of this money under Mr. Deitch's plan that he's suggesting would go towards the police and fire department being able to get the Narcan and stuff, and then some of it will go to the charitable organizations that you heard about in a previous meeting. And so they are experts at dealing with this.
And council, the left and right boundaries of what we can use this money for was pages long, but not a lot of it was really applicable to municipality. And so, as I proposed to you in a previous meeting, I'm recommending we use 10% for training for our police and fire, and then be a pass-through, the other 90% to Okaloosa County nonprofits such as Bridgeway, Freedom Life Compass, OCHIP, et cetera, that provide counseling and support to those who are battling the addiction. I reached out to some of my counterparts across the county. Fort Walton has, early on in this program, they deferred their money and sent it straight to the county. Crestview, and obviously, J.B. Whitten, Mayor Whitten is this is a passion issue for him. And so they got some projects going on up there. And of course, the county has a program as well, but we all have been talking, and we're going to collaborate on this to have a unified effort to get after this drug problem in Okaloosa County with the use of these funds. And so again, my proposal in this plan is to be a pass-through to organizations, much like the county does, that help people who are fighting addiction.
That was one of my points. We talked about during aid to organizations that we could use this to close the gap, so thank you for reiterating that. Our are the dollars are not connected to an appropriation, so if we continue to add the dollars, if they come in over the years, they don't have to be expensed in the year of appropriation, right? They're no year dollars.
We do have some revenue from this in the budget, and the offsetting expenses are included in the aid to organizations somewhat to cover that.
Okay.
But if we exceed the budget, if we get more revenue than we budgeted, that's a good thing. We don't have to do a budget amendment for that.
Right, I guess what the point I was getting at is, they could be saved or pulled if we had a major effort we wanted to do. They don't have to be expensed at the year that they're handed over to us. They don't, are they
I don't
expiring
believe they
funds?
have to be expended immediately, but Dixie, you may know more?
No, they don't have, they just need to be allocated with the plan, so then we can spend them at time.
And so I'd have to look into that. I don't know that there was a time.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
sure there probably is, but I don't know what.
But it's not a use it or lose it, like we gotta use it
Correct.
annually.
Right.
Okay, yeah. It'd be nice to be able to, now that we know it's coming, if we can project what it's gonna be, it'd be nice to align programs to those dollars.
Sure, yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
I'd just like everyone to know that the pharmaceutical companies are some of the well-funded companies in the defense of these cases in the country, and they fought tooth and nail to not have these limitations or restrictions put on them. So it's been a long battle in these cases nationally, and so I think the result of getting the defendants to come forward and put in large amounts of settlement funds to allocate for the cities and the counties and the states, it's been a long battle, but we're getting somewhere.
Any further discussion by the council? Anyone in the audience on this subject? Thank you, Mr. Stephen, and thank you, Mr. Dietz, for the background on it. Okay. Is there any other business that needs to be brought before the council?
No, sir, other than paying the bills and the city attorney issue.
Yes, thank you. Let's address the city attorney one first. And Mr. Dietz, if you can give a summary of the firms that applied, are down selected, and who they are, and then the discussion will take place.
Okay. So, council, as you might recall, a couple months ago, I put out an RFQ for city attorney candidates. We had 7 candidates apply. The top 3 was from Clark Partington, it's Hayward Dykes, Meredith Bush from Clark Partington, and then a Mr. Steve Hall. Are the 3 candidates that I've recommended to you for discussion, debate, and hopefully decision tonight.
Are any of the candidates or firms represented in the audience?
It looks like Clark Partington is here.
I don't think we need they're not saying anything, you're just asking a question.
Yeah, just asking if any representatives are here.
We are.
Thank you.
Available questions if you have any.
Thanly for making the trip down from Pensacola.
Absolutely.
I just say I'm very familiar with all of the law firms. Clark Partington and I have worked together for many years, and were my personal attorneys until Bill Bond retired. So
My mentor.
yeah, so you have very good, competent legal help. And I'm retiring from the practice of law in 28 months after 38 years.
So
appreciate the service.
to lead the discussion, I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Dietz, for the effort of putting an RFP out for all the firms that applied for the position and the down selection, and thank you for the packages that you sent in. They were all stellar and very good candidates, very highly qualified. And I think I'd like to open it up for the council for any further discussion, because we do need to take a vote on this tonight. And I would open up to the council.
I'll go first.
Are you voting or discussion?
Thought we were gonna discuss, or you wanna go right to vote?
Discussion is what phase we're in right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start, I'll echo the statements that I think our city manager made, you made, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and Dixie validated as well. We were very impressed by all three candidates through the interview process, through the submission of your proposals, followed by the interviews. From my vantage point, from my seat, I was most impressed by Mr. Dykes, by Hayward. When I took a look at all the factors to include his, the retainer fee, the number of hours that were included in that, the breakdown of what that worked out to a per hour basis, the additional hours that we would get on a as needed basis, the bench strength that his firm offers, the way he answered our questions, the issues that our city will be facing over the next 5 to 10 years, where presumably we'll be hiring somebody for somewhere in that amount of time, not just an annual hire. I personally called the cities where he's working now, to include Valpy, Mary Esther. I talked to 2 administrators at the college, and in fact got with Michael Beatty, the former Fort Walton Beach city manager. Hayward was his attorney, and absolutely glowing remarks across the board. And given proximity to us and all these other factors, I think Hayward is a superior choice.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? Sure. They'll be for discussion.
Again, I'm gonna say, agree with everything that you said. I'm leaning more towards Stephen Hall, and only because he's invested in the community, and because he has more city attorney experience. I like his attitude. I like how he's a servant. I'm a little concerned that Howard is
Hayward.
Hayward, I'm sorry, Hayward, I didn't mean to mess that up, is the city attorney for Valpy. I'm a little concerned about that, with the overlap between Niceville and Valpy. But I agree that Hayward is also a very good candidate, so that's my comments.
Any other comments?
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
Personal comment, Steve Hall and his wife Sherry are both attorneys, and they operate and run GRACE, which is a horse therapy program in the Funiac Springs. Does a great service for the community with the veterans that have horse therapy. And my daughter, Dixiana, manages their whole operation for them at the state. Just a little personal comment. She's 22 and manages their operation. Yeah, so I know Steve very well, and Sherry as well. Good people.
Any other comments?
I was gonna make a motion.
Before we make the motion, I still want to reiterate that we had excellent applicants from Pensacola all the way down to local here in Niceville. And the attorneys and their firms in between had excellent credentials. And this is a tough decision. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we only have a choice of one. It's good to get more than one attorney in the room. Well, we won't.
You know what that means.
So anyhow, I have nothing else to say, and let's call for the vote, and we'll start with.
Well, we need the motion first.
Motion, I'm sorry. Motion.
Yeah, I move we offer Hayward Dykes the opportunity to be our city attorney, based on the terms that he provided us in his proposal.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion in the council? Okay, let's call for a vote. We'll start with Mr. Stauffer.
No.
Mr. Donahue.
No.
Mr. Schatzels, yes. Ms. Alley.
No,
And Mr. Nojimi.
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that 3-2 is for Mr. Stephen Hall.
No.
No.
Hayward Dykes. No.
Can I make a motion on Stephen Hall? That was voted down, so.
Yeah, that was voted down. So it didn't imply
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry.
Hall.
It didn't imply, you're correct. So Hayward Dykes has been voted down. Okay, so now we'll go, I don't think that, we still haven't made a selection. So we need another motion for another attorney.
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Stephen Hall.
Second. Any further discussion from the council?
I do want to say that I was very impressed with Stephen Hall. My biggest concern is the Valparaiso issue. I think, I talked to Hayward Dykes, and I've got to tell you, very impressive, very credentialed. I also was very impressed listening to Stephen Hall speak from his heart. He is invested. I wanted really to see how this thing would go. And so I didn't say anything in the first round, which I am now, having expressed that, my support is for Stephen Hall.
Christian, Stephen Hall, he was the land use attorney for Walton County for several years.
So I go back and say they were all very well credentialed, and it's a tough decision. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council?
The only thing I'll say is if we're disqualifying for somebody for a single issue, I think we're being very closed-minded, very narrow-minded. The Valpy issue is, I've been on this council for 13 years, and we've never once had to have attorneys between our city and Valpy discuss anything. So I'm going to support Stephen Hall because I'm going to support what I said earlier. They're all good candidates. I think you are putting way too much credence on a single issue.
And in response to that, I agree. I may have said single issue, it's not really, but the issue is that we do have certain things that have come before this council, certain things that we know are on the future of this council, and things that will come before this council with Valparaiso and Niceville. So with that, me looking at that, I say that is one huge issue that I have to consider and say, if I have two candidates that are qualified, or three candidates, excuse me, we have overlooked Meredith Bush and we have three candidates that are very, very good. I just look and say, I would like to deal with somebody that I know, we're not gonna have to go outside for an outside attorney because we have a problem that we have to talk about, like the fire department things, and hire an outside attorney right at the beginning when we're dealing with those issues right now. So that's a big issue for me, and it isn't just that. I liked the interview of Stephen Hall.
Last comment on your comment is, he addressed that during our Q&A. We would not have to get outside attorney. He would simply remove himself. There's other members of his firm that don't represent Valpy that could be in his stead. So you're not bringing a third-party attorney at that point. So,
Just a comment to that. Most any city attorney is going to outsource litigation. There's some smaller litigation they can handle, but I've been blessed with being a trial lawyer for 38 years. So you're going to have to expect to outsource a lot of your major litigation nowadays. And fortunately, Niceville hasn't had much in the last 30-something years. So, but just be prepared for that. For litigation purposes, we're going to have to outsource. Our insurance company covers a lot of defense for lawsuits. We've had a couple recently. The insurance company will provide a defense for our fire department issue. That's a complex case and an extensive case, federal court, but it's not well-grounded, so I think it will come out okay. But just be prepared for anyone that's a municipal attorney. You're going to have to outsource litigation, and it can be very expensive.
Yes, please.
Mine was more than just the Valpy issue as well. I liked his interview. I like what he said. And he does understand the process of the orphan land. He's familiar with that. I felt that Hayward, he's busy. He's involved with a lot of governments. And again, I like them both. Well, actually, I like all three of them. But again, my heart was pulling me towards Stephen.
One more comment. Mark Partington will not need to outsource litigation. They have some of the finest litigators that I've been against and with, so they are very fine, capable of litigating any case that comes before the city of Knoxville.
Further comments? Okay, one last from me. Again, Mr. Dietz and all the firms that have applied to the RFP, and the 3 that we down selected, they were all outstanding and excellent candidates. So I'm going to start with a vote for, starting with Mr. Nugent.
Yes.
Ms. Alley.
Yes.
I vote yes for the purpose of support and solidarity for Mr. Hall. Yes.
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 Okay. So we have a vote 5-0 to select our next attorney. Mr. Dietz, will you please take the appropriate, do the appropriate paperwork to let them know it, and I would expect that we will see them next city council in October.
That's the goal, sir.
Okay, thank you. And with that being said, that we've now selected a new attorney, I want to say something about Dixie Powell. So it's time to
Not
say,
too much.
and he's not paying me for this either. So it's now time to say goodbye to our long-serving city attorney, Mr. Dixie Powell. Dixie followed in his father's footsteps as the Niceville city attorney in 2011, when his father, Judge Gillis Powell Sr., passed away on September 18th in that year. Dixie's father, Judge Powell, had served the city of Niceville as their city attorney from 1978 to 2011. A long, long span. Thank you, and thank you for following his footsteps. So Dixie, we're going to be deeply missed, but know that we all wish you well, and thank you for your 13 years as serving as our legal counsel for the city of Niceville. Thank you. Sorry to see you go, Dixie. So coming back to the agenda, we still have the other business, bills payable. Do I hear a
Move to
motion?
pay the bills.
Have a
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We're now coming to the end of the agenda. Is there anything that the council would like to bring up as a discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone from the audience that would like to come before the council at this time? Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Dice, I'm sorry, sir, go ahead. And I would like to set some ground rules as you come up. Please come up and state your name and your address for the record, and also we are going to be looking at 3 minutes to get your point across. And if you can speak into the mic, adjust it as required, please.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, very good.
My name is David Bell from 8370 Thames Road, Bacon, Florida. This is not my town, but I am coming to support the resolution that Mr. Dutch Stauffer was bringing forth. I'm saddened that everybody remained silent on that. There were no motions for a second on that. But I would like to say a few things. Our basic preamble to the Constitution, one of the lines is to promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, meaning our children. If we're not guaranteeing the basic ability to be born and protecting of that, how can even the Declaration of Independence, pursue happiness and liberty, even be sought after, right? I mean, that's the whole founding of this country, this political union called the United States. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. How can we pursue happiness and liberty if you're not guaranteed the right to life, the right to be born? We often hear the old cliche, land of the free, home of the brave. How is one free when they're not free to be born? I've heard some county commissioners and city council members declare this evil a partisan issue, seeking to abstain or avoid standing against it publicly. To take the stance that murder is a partisan issue, that preborn babies will be further stripped of equal protection and justice. It's just another form of dehumanization. What do I mean by dehumanization? Well, many of us grew up hearing the history class monsters of yesteryear, hearing in history class the monsters of yesteryear. Dictators who murdered millions, men such as Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot, Mao, Trotsky, and the like. We demonize these men, and rightly so. My question is, how did these wicked men force such evil upon millions of people? Well, before you can justify murder of millions, you must first dehumanize those you're about to murder, those you're about to oppress. This is how these men did such evil. They dehumanized the ones they murdered, and we are no different today. Words such as embryo, zygote, fetus are often used to dehumanize preborn. I know they're used as scientific terms, but often in the limelight, in the regular out in the public, they're used to dehumanize preborn babies to justify murdering them, to regulate them as a healthcare issue. If you're seeking here today to advocate your God-given responsibility as magistrates, rewarding the righteous and punishing the evildoer, then you are just as guilty of such dehumanization acts of yesteryear. Murder, rape, and other such evils are never a partisan issue. Therefore, to do so with preborn humans is to act as if they are less than human than those of us outside the womb here today. To declare them unworthy of the same love, rights, and protections that you and I enjoy under the constitutions both federally and state. You would be declaring this day that they are not human enough for your public condemnation of Amendment 4, encouraging all citizens of Niceville also to vote no, regardless of political party. Wherefore I call you now, city council members, to do your duty as a servant of God, as we see in Romans 13. As representative of this constitutional representative republic we call the United States. Though a lesser magistrate as you are, yet invaluably important in checking tyranny, which is an extremely important role in a true federalism that our framers established. So I encourage you, please, to reconsider this resolution that City Councilman Douglas Stalker has brought forth. Maybe reconvene, however you want to do it, and publicly condemn this and encourage those here in the city of Niceville to do the same. It is your responsibility to protect our life. Even though you're in a lower level of magisterial role, you're still under the Constitution. You're still swearing an oath to the Constitution to uphold that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience would like to bring something forward? And again, the same applies, your name, your address, and also we'll be timing you for 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Christy Miltz. I live at 411 Marion Drive in Niceville, Florida. And I would like to see our city incorporate planning for community engagement through a more active Parks and Recreation system. I have a long history with the Parks and Recreation, and we've lived here for 5 years now. We're military, but we're never moving again, so we're here by choice. I've been asking around to some of my friends and community members if this would be something that they would be interested in, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback for it. I know that there's a desire for it right here in Niceville, and we have so many people that come in and out of our city regularly via military or just by choice, like myself. And I believe that it would really increase the quality of life to offer programming to both families and individuals living here. I know that this is really, really exciting, so I'm thrilled to see some more public land used for community engagement. When we spend time getting to know each other in those community excuse me, in those community outreach programs, then we can help each other, like our new police chief, do some of the community policing, just because we know that that's Sarah's kid, and that's, Tommy's wife, and we get to meet our community members. And so I'm just curious what the goals are for the new Parks and Recreation Department. I saw that you guys got a new Parks and Rec Department back in July, so that's exciting. I'm curious if we have any polls that have been done within the community to help us move forward with something like a more active Parks and Recreation program. And then if there are any plans that include the community programming for the new Recreation Department. So that is all that I have.
Ma'am, I totally...
Over there.
Okay.
Yeah, voice coming from over there.
Okay.
Totally agree with you. I'd be happy to sit down and chat with you and get your ideas and hear what you're recommending. And so I'm going to hand you my card. If you would please call in the morning or shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to meet with you. And
Mr. Dutch, can I add one thing?
Please.
You had made a comment earlier about our strat plan being over there, correct?
Agreed.
This is a good point to plug in through our strategic plan as we move forward.
Absolutely.
And decide how we're going to shape our city.
May I make a comment?
Please.
So probably one thing you're not aware of is that we're working very, very hard on getting 45 acres on a long-term lease through Agland for 30 years so that we can develop a sports complex. So there's a lot happening in the city, and it would be great for you to meet with our city manager, because we're working very hard through the CRA and through the city to bring more family-friendly environments for everybody to be able to enjoy. So.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing that to the council. Is there anyone else in the audience? Going once, twice?
Yes, I would like to say something.
Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Well, my name is Robert Copeland. This is the first city council meeting I've ever came to. And I have to say, if you can't second a motion just for discussion, that's not a vote. That's just for discussion. I'm not sure that I don't think you have the standing of the people that you represent in this city. I want you to take the time. These out here have taken the time and read the amendment and looked at what it says. I personally find it hard to believe that the government, the state Supreme Court, approved an amendment with such ambiguous language. How can we not, as a city, take a stand for what is right? Not because, just for a discussion. That is, oh, I'm sorry, did I get my name? My name is Robert Copeland, I'm not sure if I did. This is not a prepared statement, this is from the heart. This is from the heart. If you can't take a stand for the unborn, who can you take a stand for? You know for sure that once this governor of Virginia said that the baby can be born and yet be aborted after delivery, this is where this is heading. Why can't the city of Niceville, Florida take a stand? I'm embarrassed. Thank you.
And last call, anybody else from the audience? Okay, see another lady. State your name and address for the record, please.
Debbie Lewis, 2446 Duncan Drive, Niceville. I have a question about the leaving of Edgewater Village South on South Roberts Drive. We have a median where we turn left to go west, and we have a sign that's in the middle of our median that keeps getting clobbered, and it was clobbered a couple of days ago, and it was pushed back the second time. But my question is it, and I'm sure it's a DOT, is it possible to have, when we turn out, that median there, can we have it cut back a little bit and then push that sign even further back? One, because it's with it down now, and somebody picked up the sign, I guess it was yesterday afternoon or so. It's a little bit clearer, not that it's all that obstructing, but it's sure a whole clearer vision. But it gives us that are coming out of that neighborhood a little bit more room to go to that speed up lane. So that's my question.
Man, we'll get with DOT. That is a DOT.
That's what I thought.
So we'll get with DOT and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, one last call from the council, one last call for Mr. Dice and your team.
No, sir, that's all I have.
Okay, I think we covered everything on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. We're